Beautiful. Side go here. Beautiful. Okay.
This is what I needed.
Yes. Mid-back, shoulder pain. Tell me about what's going on.
Yeah, so the middle of my back, I just always feel the need to always crack it, like every morning. And then my shoulder, a few years ago, my dog pulled me and it made a crack that like, it felt good at the time. But ever since then, it just feels like it's forward and like right here will hurt.
Okay.
Up here, and then like in my scapula.
Our alignment, like our tires on our car, determines how our spine ages. And so when we have an injury, sometimes our body will tilt or twist.
Yeah.
Have you injured that clavicle before, other than just that injury? Okay. All right. The left shoulder's a little high. And the hips are pretty level. Maybe left hip's a little high. Is there pain to turn your neck? Like if you turn your neck to the left, is there pain?
No.
Any pain when you turn right?
No.
Okay, and then if you look up, no difficulty. Okay, more on the top
but yeah,
here,
yeah.
right up in here. So the roots of our neck. Keep looking straight forward. You're fine. Head's just about 1 inch forward. The head weighs about 10 pounds, and when our head goes 1 inch forward, the muscles have to double their workload. And this is a combination of being a teacher, I'm sure, and everybody's down,
Yeah.
and phones and life, and everything is forwardly rotated in our lives, and that posture creates the tension. So think of the neck like a trunk of a tree, and this is the leaves, and then the roots of the tree are down here in our shoulder blades.
Mm-hmm.
So the more forward our head goes, it actually starts to rise up these ribs in the upper back and then pull on these attachments. Those attachments are sore, and we can rub them forever. It will never go away because we have to get the head back, right? So the your ear hole belongs over the center of your shoulder. And it's actually masked a little bit because not only is your head forward, but your shoulders are forward.
Yeah.
So if we pulled your shoulders back, it's probably more like 1.5 inches, forward, and that puts an immense amount of stress on the muscles, mainly also the discs in the spine, which don't have any feeling, and those are the things that I would value on an MRI. I don't have any reason to take an MRI if you don't have any symptoms down your arms. I can sometimes get MRIs to help see how a person's spine is aging. You're in your 20s, you don't want to take an MRI of a 20-year-old and see, the lower neck is 40. You're seeing evidence of accelerated aging. But the posture determines the stress. Like I said, the more forward the head goes, the more muscles work, and then the stress on the joints. So the joints will actually give you pain in between your shoulder blades, and that's what this picture over here illustrates. The actual knuckles in the lower neck will give you pain in between the shoulder blades.
Okay.
So you have, probably a little bit of mainly attachment pain is right here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, like I said, rub that forever, but we
Yeah.
got to get the head back. And if your head's forward 1 inch, we can't just ask for neutral. We have to actually go opposite, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
To like -1 to get you to 0 in the middle. And so in order to do that, we have to first make sure your whole spine's working as a team. We're going to massage and adjust and just go through and make sure everybody's working so that when we ask you to bend back at the end of the visit, you don't get too mad at me,
Yeah.
and that we can go deep enough to actually recenter your posture. How much weight are you having when you do that?
Probably like 8 pounds, 10 pounds.
And then you just simply can't hold it? The strength isn't there?
Yeah, like this one is fine. I feel like I could do even more with
Right.
this arm, but it's so weak that, I don't know, it just feels so uneven.
Gotcha. Before we have nerve pain, many times we'll have pressure which causes weakness. It can be just maybe you sprain the attachments, and the attachments just need to be worked on, and the weakness simply is purely muscular. But at the end of the day, the muscles are dependent on the nerve for their health. And so if the nerve is upset, no amount of working on the muscles will fix it ultimately.
Okay.
That the care ultimately has to be about restoring that curve, posture. Go ahead and illustrate that if you can just a little bit for me. Wow, it's pretty cracking.
Yeah.
And then show me the other shoulder.
But like this one, I feel like I can go back more. And then, I don't know.
Wow,
just
yeah, it's definitely
tight.
crunchy. So we'll check that out. Yeah, wow, real tight. Breathe. I'll wait for you. Exhale. Yeah, deep breath in. 2 more. Exhale. Yeah, they're moving. Wow. Deep breath. 1 more. Exhale. we got work to do. Way too much, tightness. And that talked about when you were trying to bring your arm back. When you bring your arm back, the chest has to go forward. And so with all that restriction, if your chest's all stiff, does that make sense? You can't bring your arms back because the chest has to go in. And with all that tightness in the chest, it's definitely going to be a big piece of why your range of motion isn't. Okay. Put this hand around your belly for me. Take a deep breath in for me. Look over this shoulder and then exhale for me. Keep exhaling, exhale, exhale. All right, beautiful.
Felt good.
You take a deep breath in and then exhale. Look over this shoulder, exhale. Beautiful. All right, let's go on your back. So this is the position of the atlas and the axis here. Everything is more what we call posterior, or sort of pushed out towards my hand more than it should be. There should be a more, willingness and ease with which your neck is curved. And it just isn't really required much in our life, but just in general right here, this is way too, and then the tension's going to follow because the position's not correct. Yeah. And so we're going to loosen it up, and then we're going to try to work on, I'll show you how to reposition things permanently. They can't be changed permanently through adjustment. As much as I wish it were true, we can't change posture through adjusting bones. Yeah. Posture is changed through stretching in the same way that our posture was made worse through years and time of being forwardly rotated. We have to do the opposite stretch to bring it into balance. Real gentle, I got you. Now let this left side go here. Beautiful. Okay. Okay, a little bit here. Let it go. Beautiful. Okay.
What was that?
So I use the soft tissue, the elbow, the massage, the gua sha as a tool to further limber up the spine so that it will, so you can stretch deep enough to actually change things, and that you can do it safely, wherein the whole spine works as a team, and you're not just bending where you're loose, and you're bending evenly throughout the whole spine. And that relatively your chest, talk about a large disparity, right? Your neck is willing to function, the hips are willing to function, but the middle back pretty much stuck his tongue at me, right? It said, I don't think so, right? And so we're going to spend a little bit extra time in that thoracic cage. You're way too stiff in there. These are the roots here. We'll work on compressing those down. End of the day, though, like I said earlier, if we don't get the head back, you'll be rubbing this till decades, and it'll feel better for a few days, and then it comes right back, and then you get stuck in this loop of, well, I like chiropractic, but I'm not changing anything. And that's, to me, really where all this postural stuff came from, was chiropractors started to, why aren't we increasing permanently the stability of the spine? Well, it's because you're not changing the posture. And it took us about 100 years to realize that adjustments alone won't change permanently the position of the bone. This is why I don't have to take x-rays of you to care for you today, because I don't need a set of x-rays to determine your listings to then create a set of adjustments based on what I see on your x-rays, because ultimately we can't change anything anyway. And so the adjustment isn't to reposition your bones, it's used to loosen up the fixations, to unlock the spine where it's stiff, so that we can safely stretch. And the other problem with x-rays is another chiropractor of even sometimes the same technique can look at the same set of x-rays but come up with a whole different set of areas to adjust you. So there's a lot of a different technique, might look at it, come up with a different set of, there's not a lot of common, where they draw the lines, how they draw the lines. Heck, you take another set of x-rays on the same patient the same day, the bones are in a different position because the bones are fluidic. Yeah. So there's the entire system of what we call listings in chiropractic. I'm not sure if you've been to somebody that's have you had a set of x-rays before?
No.
Okay, so you haven't been to the practitioners, especially the old school practitioners, they wouldn't even treat you without x-rays. They have to have a set of x-rays to determine where to work on you. I grew up with my father as a chiropractor, and so my dad would do this, and he would have a thing called a spinothermogram. He would run this little thing with two different temperature settings on it that would read the temperature of the spine on each side, and that would determine where to adjust you. Anyway, my dad says, I'm sorry. I regret the 10 years that I did that. But you have to run the test for long enough to, does this work? And, and patients liked it. It wasn't to say my dad wasn't helping people, but I think at the end of the day, my dad would say that he wasn't getting patients to a place where their spine was really more stable, the spine wasn't aging further on MRI.
Right.
And so
They weren't getting to the root.
like orthodontistry, you're not changing the position of where the teeth are. The teeth are still crooked. There you go. Yeah, for me to be quiet, it costs double. Discounted if you let me talk. And so,
No, you're good. I want to
I'm just teasing.
know.
A lot more peaceful if you just zip. Sorry.
Yeah, right in there.
Yeah. Just the opposite, how often do we really put our neck in this position throughout our day? Never.
Yeah.
And so we're not good at what we don't do, or your neck isn't used to being here, so we have to aim it in this direction, and then it'll just get used to being there. Yeah, right there. The top part. There. Cupping is great. It's just a little slower in terms of drawing it out, but same category. It's a way to extract the acidity, inflammation, helps promote circulation, remove the stagnation in these tight, stiff areas. So it's a great way to essentially promote healing, which is replacement.
Yeah.
It helps to bring the nutrients in, waste out. Not as much on this side, little bits, but a little bit right in there. Kind of in here.
Yeah.
That's when you were getting tugged on, and
Yeah.
it's called your AC joint. So the clavicle right here comes over and attaches into the front part of the acromion, and there's a joint right here. And so when shoulder gets rounded forward real quickly, you'll jam this joint. Joint's loaded with nerve endings, and so the resetting of the shoulder is up and back. Typically the shoulder will misalign forward and down, and so the correction we'll show you at the end of the visit is to hold the arm up and back while we have something behind your back, and that's going to change the position. The position that the shoulder is in keeps a constant stress on this AC joint, and that keeps it inflamed and then doesn't allow it to really recover, and we keep getting these gua sha marks out of here because it's the position that your body's in is keeping it under extra stress. Yeah, very quickly the mark came out, kind of very similar to where your marks already are here, but I find this kind of doesn't miss anything. The cupping, you get different pull based on where the cup is, and even under the surface area of the cup, I find that the comb, kind of draws out everything that's there. Ultimately, you shouldn't be able to make a mark. So, you should be able to get cupped or massaged or gua sha'd, and no mark, all turns to just pink. You shouldn't have this
like the blood? Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh.
That.
I didn't expect that.
You should, pretty gentle, right? I mean, some people sometimes watch my videos and they're like, is that patient okay? Right? I mean, you didn't hardly perceive it, right? It's like, this feels good.
Yeah.
But internally there's blockages, and I think of it as like dead blood, old injuries that haven't been processed, and that presents kind of like a remodeling of a kitchen. You can't put in new drywall in a new kitchen until you take the old one out. And so it's a replacement of the tissue that we're trying to expedite and speed up this process, which is really the word healing, right? Or what people call healing, but which is really replacement. So to help you heal, we're just speeding this process up.
So what do you mean by dead blood, just for the people out there who probably, I don't know.
Well, she had an injury. You have an injury, right? If I get punched in the arm, right? There's burst blood vessels, right? And so you essentially have dead blood because it's no longer circulating. It just sits in one spot. It's like a bruise.
Yeah.
What is a bruise? Dead blood, right? So now the area protectively sometimes tightens itself because it expects you to be yanked on by a dog again and have another injury.
Mm-hmm.
So that tightness prevents the circulation from being adequate to actually getting out all of that dead blood that was there from an injury. Or even the trauma can damage the circulation inside. The tightness can prevent proper circulation, and then over time the area becomes acidic. And so by working on it, we help rinse out that acidity, inflammation, whatever word you want to use for it, but essentially it's of no value And then ultimately, this is where I was saying earlier, if the nerve is not healthy and happy, this won't work. We have to make sure the nerve in the neck is not upset. Like that, saying that weakness, part of it can be just these tissues are inflamed, and so your weakness is simply muscular. But it also can be the nerve in the neck is upset, and that is what's promoting your weakness.
Okay. The nerve part is confusing to me.
Sure, hold on. Nerves are sneaky. It's like the nerve controls, we call it MRS. This is like motor, reflex, and sensory are all controlled by the nerve. Mm-hmm. So your ability to move your body, reflexes, I hit this tendon, it stretches the muscle contracts, and then sensory, you're feeling, light touch or pinching, or, so you can feel, all that's controlled by the nerve, but even more so, the health of the tissue is maintained by the nerve, kind of like sunlight to a plant. The wires actually exit. I'm going to use this just because it's easier to see than the neck, but the discs support open holes that nerves pass through. And so this is how a disc injury can interact with the nerve and cause wrong signals or pain. Nobody in the history of humanity played with their funny bone. Pretty rare to be able to say that every single human, when we hit our funny bone, in the same way these nerves don't like being touched. Right there's the levator scapula attachment around the superior angle of the scapula. That's, I'm going to compress that down.
Yeah, that's good. All in there.
Yeah. Even quicker than this mark came out. Right in your lower neck, it came up real quick. Like I just barely grazed the lower neck, and it came out real dark.
Really?
You see how much darker, Carlin, it is here than there, and so how dark the mark comes out is kind of like doing a carpet cleaner, and the more dirt that's in an area of the carpet, the darker it comes out. So I think of it like carpet cleaning. It's, there really shouldn't be any mark, but the faster it comes out, the more that's in there.
I wonder if it's because I've gotten cupping done here, but not much on the top there.
Not on the neck at all. Okay, could be. I'm just saying this is where the strength of your shoulder comes from the wires that come out of your lower neck, and this mark signifies that those nerves are not happy. That they can't be happy living in this environment. They're not going to give clear signals to your shoulder muscles. Not as bad on this side. Yeah, it's a little bit tight, but that left side's way...
Yeah, it doesn't feel as bad.
Not as guarded over here, not as... The other side feels like, I think of like a water balloon underneath the skin. It feels like that's what inflammation feels like to me. It feels like just puffiness.
Yeah.
Right. I'll hear sometimes chiropractors try to describe what an adjustment should feel like and what it shouldn't feel like, and it's what we're trying to say is that when we adjust a joint, it should feel crisp, right? Like a click. You're saying it shouldn't feel like.
Oh.
You understand? And that means the joint's inflamed. The joint is filled with more fluid than it really should be, and so when we're adjusting people, sometimes that didn't sound right, or somebody then. I had some guy say that it was the ligament snapping. I'm like, no, it's just a swollen joint that's making sound because it's inflamed. It's just air bubbles being released from a joint, but there is a feeling and a sound that should happen as the joint moves in the way it's supposed to. Students, if they see your neck, what happened to your back and neck?
Oh yeah, they will. They bring up everything. I'll have a pimple. They're like, "Why do you have a red dot on your face?"
Right. So these ribs, you can feel these are much lower on this side. The position of the ribs on the left side are much more elevated. And that's partly why your range of motion is so much different from left to right. You're saying because this won't go forward, you can't bring your shoulder back.
Okay.
And so you can't increase the range of motion of your glenohumeral joint, your shoulder joint, if the back won't move at the same time. We call this coupled motion, but they both have to happen. The chest has to go in, these vertebrae have to go in to allow the shoulder to be drawn back. yeah, right here, way too tight.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, nobody's picked on this, and nobody showed you this, but pretty obvious this left side is right here. We'll do that bow. There's a bow adjustment I call it, where I lift you, or actually bend you back as I'm adjusting you, and we actually arch you into extension into the opposite position. Then we adjust you. It's a mirror image adjustment. Yeah, well, we're gonna do it. It's gonna be fun. But we have to compress this and then adjust it into extension. There we go. Wow. Right there.
Yeah, that feels good.
Yeah, this has to be compressed.
That's tender in there.
Yeah, yeah. Because the shoulder is rounded forward, these muscles are losing a tug-of-war battle with the pectoralis in the front. And that's also what you're going to do when we stretch at the end of the visit, is we're stretching the pec to help these muscles not lose so much. You okay?
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, that's how it just feels so lopsided.
It's like an orthodontist saying you're grinding these teeth extra, right? So they're the first ones that are going to wear out because they're handling a increased load on them, and until you wear out the enamel and the tooth and the nerve roots exposed, there isn't much awareness that you're causing this problem, or that the spine is, or the teeth are unevenly aging. This is an analogy. I'm not actually talking about dentistry here, guys. I'm just analogizing that the alignment of your spine determines where the spine ages. And so when we're not in the right ideal alignment, certain vertebrae are going to age at a faster rate. It's not your fault. The front part of the spine having no feeling makes this forward drift, so easy. Makes it happen without even, I didn't know it was happening yet. That wasn't sore until you touched it, right? Because your body's in avoidance of it.
Yeah.
Right, and so it's been in here, but now I'm shining a spotlight on it.
Yeah.
Somebody might say they don't believe in chiropractic, and I go, okay, well, I don't believe in physics anymore. I don't believe in gravity. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
I
have heard people say that. I'm like,
well, it's not a religion. This is a physics. Okay. I don't believe in orthodontistry. It's like, well, it doesn't matter what you believe. Your teeth are still going to wear out unevenly.
Yeah.
Whether you believe in it or not is irrelevant. This is not a belief system. This is a posture system where the alignment that you're in determines which vertebrae are aging. Whether you believe it or not, I don't care.
It's a science.
Right. This is a physics.
Yeah.
You drop an object off a building, it will fall at 9.8 meters per second till terminal velocity. Why is that? Some physicists will explain it's based on the density of the Earth and all that stuff and bending of space-time. But my point is that why is it that number? I don't know. It just is what it is, right? Put my behind your back. Yeah, let's work on stretching that. There we go. Let's try to get these ribs right there. There you go.
Yeah. This is what I needed.
Yes. The crunchy is the tendons being tight, like a guitar string. When you move your shoulder around, the bone will rub, or the tendons will rub over the attachments on the actual bone. So that's what makes it click and crunch. If the tendons weren't so tight, right, the cables wouldn't be snapping and clicking and popping. The muscles are tight because of injury. Your body's gone into a guarded state. So. Doing okay? You okay?
Yeah.
All right. And real quick it came out. Just so much tightness and restriction here. And like the employee that's not working very hard, that person's not complaining. Right?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to draw any attention to himself like he's the biggest slacker. And so I look at this area as being like the biggest slackers that are underworking, but they're the problem. We go real easy. Just relax your arms, relax your back. Take a deep breath in for me. Breathe for a second. Yeah, breathe in. Exhale. Exhale. Oh, good. Okay, yeah. Hands pretty tight. All right, arms down for me. There we go. Okay, good. Yeah, to get the next level, it feels like to me we have to stretch, and then every subsequent visit we get a little bit more, but it's about as far as we can take it without stretching right now. Okay.
That's hard.
Like I said, this sitting locks this joint, and the tissue around the sciatic nerve will get irritated, so we want to keep this tissue not sore. Not the butt head. Anywhere but the butt. Like that. Notice that sound was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It was normal, 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 right? That first one was like, it was like, you got a lot of pressure on this joint. See, this toe starting to go upwards. The correction is to actually, see the toes are hammering because you got too much weight on the toes. You know, we want to actually work on getting the toes back in the proper alignment. So you take the toe, you pull it, and then curl this direction.
Okay.
People would eventually be called drop metatarsal or bunions would start to develop. It's just, we need to get the weight back on the heel.
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of running? Are you a runner?
No.
No? Okay, good. All right. Just working. It's just being on our toes too much.
I have really flat feet too, so I wonder.
That's from, again, too much weight on the toes. Yeah, the arch drops.
Oh, that was good one.
Nice. So.
Oh wow. Oh,
That's that left side. That's where
Yeah.
all that. This has to go in. Have you seen me do the ear adjustment? Have you seen this before?
Yeah.
Okay. Just sometimes it loosens up some of the cartilage behind the ear and helps to get things flowing a little better. All right. Everybody's ear doesn't. Haven't taken anybody's ear off yet. Tilt your head left a little bit. Tilt left. Okay. Doing good. All right. Go ahead and tilt left for me. Tilt your head left. Okay. Nothing there. All right. Go ahead and tilt your head right.
Oh, that was weird.
Go ahead and tilt to the right for me.
Just never had that done.
Let me see here. Press back. There you go. Let's try one more time on that side.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Almost. Yeah, it's definitely that. Needs some stretching. Get the idea. Every minute, 1 inch type of idea. So you stay here for about a minute. And we gotta use this in concert with adjustments to improve the flexibility and range of motion of your chest. The ideal time is to do it is the end of the day, kind of before you go to bed, like brushing your teeth.
Okay.
So you wanna, do your tasks throughout your day, and then before you go to bed, half hour before bed, you counter stretch, and then the ideal thing would be literally be to counter stretch, brush your teeth, and then go to sleep. I mean, it's like right before bed. If it was easy, you wouldn't have shoulder problems,
Yeah.
right? If you got on this and said, Ed, this is freaking
Yeah.
joke. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
I expect difficulty, and that is your journey through this, is to master that position of resetting that shoulder back. Hang in there, but it is difficult, and I, usually would spend a couple more visits loosening you up. Head back for me. And this is the neck guy. It is not the same as a rolled up towel. If a rolled up towel worked, I would sell rolled up towels. Okay, it has to be firm enough that essentially your neck has to bend around the foam. If the foam was soft, then it's bending. It's supposed to be stiff enough that your neck has to comply with the mold. And when there's not any difference between where your neck wants to be and what the mold is asking you to be, then it becomes easy. Try to bring that, try to keep the shoulders back as best you can, and now try to move that shoulder around. See if it...
It feels looser.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful.
All right,
thank you so much.
you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great.